Hello and good afternoon. My name's Justin Bown. I'm the Advantage sales lead at Advantage, and I'm here today to take everybody through Business Central. I'm really looking specifically at the CRM functionality. So before we kick off and actually have a look at the product, I just want to double check that if everybody can put their hand up through the webinar to let me know that one, they can hear me, and two, they can see my screen with the Advantage Transform the Way You Work. As soon as I can see everybody's hands up, then we can get started. Good. Yeah, it looks like everybody can see and hear me perfectly. So I'll try not to rush through this too quickly. We'll have a chance at the end of the session to run through some questions. In the meantime, let's kick off and have a little look. So, as I said, my name is Justin Bown. Head up the sales Advantage, as I said, and principally, we're now interested in looking at really a comparison of the CRM functionality within 365 Business Central, how that looks, how it works, why you might want to use Business Central's CRM functionality, and equally, we'll finish off with looking at Dynamics 365 CRM and how that fits in with Business Central as well. So the purpose of today, I'm going to go through what I refer to sales productivity. Really, I look at the quote to cash process in Dynamics Business Central. We're going to be looking at activity tracking, pipeline management, and then beyond that, the growth of a business, when may be a good time to grow beyond the CRM functionality and move to Dynamics 365, or why you might choose Dynamics 365 CRM from the outset. And then, as I say, we'll end with a Q&A session. Got to put up a little disclaimer. Basically, just to say, look, this webinar, it's not designed to make you an expert. Really, what I'm here today to do is just to give you some insights. We're unboxing Dynamics 365 Business Central. We're doing a few sessions like this, and we really just want to give some insight. If anybody's looking for more detailed knowledge, wants to dive a bit deeper than beyond today, then please get in touch following this webinar, and we can arrange a slightly deeper session for you. So why use Business Central sales opportunities, CRM functionality? When does it become good? Well, so there's no right or wrong answer to this, but one of the factors we've looked at is there enough CRM functionality within Business Central? And there is. You have the ability to create segmented marketing lists or campaigns. You have the ability to create sales opportunities. You have the ability to have a sales process within those opportunities and create activities and interactions, and effectively then create sales quotes, orders, invoices, and generate cash into the business. One of, I guess, the benefits of Business Central is, there's minimum automation of business process, so it's quite straightforward to start using from the outset. If your sales processes aren't too complicated and don't need an awful lot of automation, then Business Central is quite a nice fit. One other way to look at it would be if you're targeting existing customers, maybe account management is a big part of your business, then Business Central is quite good because obviously you've got a lot of sales information, ordering information, you've got that full account history all within Business Central as a fully functioning ERP product. It's not to say that you can't do a lot of this with Dynamics 365 CRM, but where we see a better fit for Dynamics CRM is when people are starting to get into marketing, nurturing, bigger campaigns, a little bit more complexity in sales processes, definitely automation, so workflows and so forth. larger sales teams maybe, and the business is growing, so there becomes a definite need for automated sales processes. We see a greater shift towards dynamic CRM, synchronizing with Business Central then, so that you get that joined up feel. So we're going to try and show a little bit of that now. So what I'm going to go through Business Central. I'm going to start looking at the customer cards. We're going to move looking at contacts within that. We're going to look at how you can do a little bit of profiling. Questionnaires, asking certain questions of your contacts, of your accounts, which can help later on for segmenting the data and, work towards marketing campaigns. Then the bigger part, we'll look at opportunities, interactions, and the quote to order invoice process. And then I'll finish up by showing you a little bit of how Dynamics 365 CRM synchronizes across to Business Central, if that's the way you want to go, or you grow into that at a later stage. So I'm just going to come out and we're going to log in and do this real time. So I'm just going to close a couple of these menus down slightly, bear with me. And so Business Central is a web-based cloud product, which is what we're looking at today. It is a full ERP. It will cover more than just sales. It's got the finance, manufacturing, projects, a lot of functionality within this product. I'm not looking to cover all that today. Today, we're just going to look at the sales function. So one of the things you'll notice once you've logged into the browser session is I've got my role-tailored desktop, and my role at the moment is clearly centered around sales and customer relationship. So I'm seeing a lot of the menu items that relate to that. So if you look at my reports, I've got a sales pipeline. I've got my opportunities, how many I've got open, how many I've won. I see a little bit of KPI around activities and contacts and so forth. So very much geared around the sales process. And down here also, we've got our Power BI dashboard linking to reports out of the box as well. This is just a sample. I can be looking at different reports here. And these are sales reports, literally a sample of what's there. Just to sort of prove, again, if I just go up to my user settings, and you'll notice the role I'm in, I have other roles that, out of the box. These can all be tailored, but one of the roles could have been business manager. And if we just look at that, you'll see it's very much geared around the sort of cash management, financial running of the business, and some sales and purchasing and approvals. But for today's exercise, we're going to stick with the sales and customer relationship management role. And as I say, these roles can be tailored, but out of the box, it gives you something to start working with. While I'm in this screen, Dynamics 365 Business Central is a multi-company platform. I can set up many companies. I've got the Cronus demo company, so anybody who's ever worked with NAV will be well aware of the Cronus demo data, which I'm using today. But equally, I've set up some other companies into company demo and so forth. So you can have many companies that's working with this. Right, back to the sales process as we discussed before. So I'm going to start by looking at what we get with customers. So a number of ways I can get there, but I'm just going to click on customers in the top menu. And I'm giving tiles of all my customers. So I don't have many at the moment. So a datum, trade research, and so on. I get a little bit of KPI information as well. So, total sales to date and so forth. And on the right-hand side, I could have a Power BI report. I don't have any enabled at this level, but I do have some statistics. So a datum corporation has 2 sales opportunities open at the moment with Dynamics 365 CRM. And as I said earlier, we'll come back and I'll show you how that works later on. That's very much using the 365 CRM. And further down here, tiles to do with Business Central, you can see I've got some sales KPI information. You can tailor these, but this is very much what we get when we sort of start the system up out of the box and start working with it. So I'm going to drill down into a datum as an example. And I'm now in the customer card for a datum. So I'm in read-only mode at the moment. But you can see the typical information, the company name, their address. I can see them on a map if I want to, and some, typically finance-based information as well. Invoicing. Oh, I probably shouldn't have clicked on that. Invoicing, payments, shipping, statistics, and so forth. So very much ERP-based information at this stage. Now, what I'm interested in looking at, though, is more from a sales and marketing perspective. So what I'm able to do, if I click on Contact here on the menu, you'll be taken to the contacts for this organization. But something you'll notice is we have contact records for individuals, but we also have the Datum Corporation as a contact record in its own right. And that's quite key. So from a marketing perspective, we still treat the organization as a contact. So we've got the right information if we want to contact, the central marketing department or so on and whatever. But we have the individuals as well within there, and they're on tiles. So I'm just going to click in a datum, and it clearly tells me I'm in the contact card for a datum. It tells me the type, it's company, a little bit of contact information. But an interesting part with, which is, I say unique, but specific to Business Central, is our profile questionnaire at the bottom here. So if I just click in Edit, now what the profile questionnaire is all about is how can we help later on when we're doing marketing or we're looking for ways to upsell to customers, and this works the same with contacts. How can I segment that data better? How can I, and the way we do it is by using these profile questionnaires. Bear with me, still trying to show the map. I get that information. So what drives that, if I come out here, are our profile questionnaires. So I'm just going to take you into the setup for these. So I'm just using the Business Central search. And I'm going to go into the questionnaire setup because it's easier to understand from the setup here. So what you'll notice here is I have a number of profiles already set up. I've got one for companies, one for customers, and one for, as they say, person, but contacts. So I'm going to just as an example open up the one for person. And what we have is a series of questions. Now, this has been set up out of the box, but actually, in reality, we would work with you to help you define what your marketing segmentation may look like. You could equally use these, but you can build upon it. It's not defined so that they can't be changed. But the idea here is we're posing questions. So as you see for the contact questionnaire, we're asking, what sex are they, male or female? What hobbies have they got? What marital status and so forth, and you might build on it and make it more applicable to your business. We can have multiple answer questions, set different priorities. That helps later for reporting. We can have auto classification. Now, the auto classification, which I'm not going to go into a lot of detail today, is the ability to set up a question and then run a process that will look across all your contacts and answer those questions for you. So typically you might be looking at spend. How much have these customers spent over the last 12 months? What sort of products have they bought? And rather than you have to go and answer those questions manually, the system will fulfill those because it has the information in the database. So as I said, a profile or a contact or a company contact record can actually have multiple profiles. And each of those profiles can have multiple questions and they can vary for whatever the purpose of your business marketing. So I'm going to close back out of there and we're going to go back to our contact cards, and I'm actually going to click in Robert Towns, who's a contact of a datum. I'm going to have a little look at the individual contacts here. So I can clearly see Robert's linked to a datum. I can see he's a person type. We have a company or person, bit of contact information, and his profile questionnaire. Interestingly, here we're using a bit of automated functionality, which I've set up and given rise to, that when we import photographs of our contacts, it automatically analyzes the photograph and works out their age, what it thinks you are, and their gender, and you could add more questions, all from the photograph. I don't think yet it's got the age right with anybody in our business, but not too far off. So beyond this, then again, we're looking at sales process. What can I do at this level? So I'm just going to take you through some simple sales processes now. So what I want to do, I want to look at creating a new sales opportunity linked to a datum, but specifically from Robert. So Robert's called in. He's looking to perhaps buy some chairs, and we want to log that. You know, he's not necessarily going to buy today, but he's very much interested. So the account manager, the service desk, whatever, they're going to take this detail and put it in an opportunity. So straight from the contact card, I can click on to create opportunity, and now we're in the opportunity card. We get an automated opportunity number, various ways that these numbers can run. I'm going to give a description. So as I said, he's interested in some chairs. Okay, great. We know we're linked to that contact. That's his contact number. That's his name. We've got all that information. That's great. Some important information here now. I said at the beginning we can run sales processes. We can have a pipeline management, and that's all fed from the sales cycle code. So by default, it's dropped in that this is new. I'm just going to click on the Lookup to show you what options we have. You can have many different sales cycles. You could set up a sales process based on the products you sell, the industries you sell to, the geographic location. I don't know. It goes on. But effectively, in my system at the moment, I have two options: existing and new. So actually, Robert is not new, not a new bit of business. This is an existing customer, so I'm going to change it to the existing customer process. Now, it's worth just taking you a little bit through what's behind that. So before I fill out the rest of my opportunity card, I'm just going to flick up to my search, and I'm going to take you into the sales cycle. And I hope we're not flicking too much around, but it is worth just noting a little bit how this works. So I'm in the setup for our sales cycle. And as you can see, those two options are there, the existing and the new. And I'm going to drill down a little bit further on the existing. So I'm going to click on stages. So hopefully everybody's sort of au fait with sales processes. So my existing customer, sales process has 4 stages, as you can see: initial, presentation, proposal, and sign contract. Fairly straightforward. And again, obviously, you set these up to meet your business needs. We're able to put some percentage complete and the chances of success. So once we've completed the proposal phase, you can see we deem this process to be 80% complete, and actually our chances of winning the business to be 80% as well. Some other little bits that are quite important here. We can decide whether those stages could be skipped. We can also dictate whether to get past those stages, you need to have created a quote. Because the purpose of Business Central is we have an opportunity where we're trying to win some business, and we want to create quotes, orders, invoices. So we can tie it down to make sure at the proposal stage, you can't get beyond that unless you're going to create a quote. We have a date formula box here where we could specify that, we think after the initial introduction, the presentation maybe should be 2 to 3 weeks after. Of course, in reality, these things change, and you can do so within the process, but this is just to get you started. And this is great for new salespeople to the business, and also great for existing sales or account managers to have some structure, and at least, they're working within those structures, but, things change, as we know. So the next bit of important information you'll notice here is the activities. So it's all very well having a list of stages, and those feed our pipeline reports, but actually driving those stages are some activity. So we can help the salesperson, the manager, whoever, the account managers, to know what bit of work they should be looking at, and these will then end up in an activity listing. So I'm just going to click on to open the activity code. And again, this is all out of the box, so you're probably looking at it thinking, well, can I change those? Absolutely, you can create new activities I'm just going to click on the initial tasks activity, and I'm going to click to edit it just to show you what's behind that. So you can now start to see it's a very granular system built up of layers. Now within our initial tasks, we're saying that we need to verify the quality of the opportunity, and that's a high priority. We want to qualify, how interested is Robert in these chairs? So we put that in. Assuming that we verify it's of a high quality, we want to, who's the key people? Who are the stakeholders involved in this? Is it just Robert, or actually is Robert going to have to go and speak to procurement? Is Robert going to have to get his line manager, the managing director involved? Who's going to make these decisions? So we're asking them to do that. Now, we're not saying you're going to find that information all out at the time you qualify, but we hope maybe within 1 week, you should have been able to identify who the key people are on this opportunity. And then the last task to do on these is phone call. So the reason for that is our initial tasks really are made up of make a phone call to the prospect or customer and find that information out. So I hope that makes some sense. So I'm just going to close back out of these windows. And you can see the way Business Central, when you're opening windows, they kind of layer on top of each other so that you can easily then close back out. I could easily go back to the search to get what I want, or I can use the breadcrumb at the top. You can see where it's kind of recording where I am in the step. I'm now back to my opportunity card, and hopefully it makes a little bit more sense of that sales cycle code. So just coming through a few of the other fields now to sort of move on a little bit quicker. We can see some fields that are filled out automatically, date it's created, our close field. So as soon as this opportunity closes, that date closed will be populated. We've got some marketing fields here as well we can fill out. So campaigns. Now we haven't touched on campaigns yet, but I could be aligning this opportunity with a campaign. In reality, you would have started with a marketing campaign, and the campaign hopefully will drive sales opportunities. But if the reverse, if somebody happens to call in and you're thinking it's about some advertising, maybe you were marketing online or in a magazine for a discount on some chairs, you could align then and say, yeah, actually, I saw your article in the paper, saw it in a magazine, and you would have a campaign to look up and attach it to. Segments. So segments work in conjunction with campaigns. So the way to think of segments is a bit like having a marketing list. It's a way of saying which contacts or companies, if you're doing it from a marketing perspective, would meet some criteria. So I've set up a segment list that says, I'm selling old stock of chairs. I'm looking to increase sales on a particular product. We're running an event in a few weeks. Maybe it's a golf event, and so on and so forth. And so the segment list would contain important information about the product of interest, or maybe some other criteria. Maybe we're looking for people in a certain age bracket, so we're using that profiling information. It goes on and on. But the idea here is behind those lists will be a list of contacts. So in this case, I could manually specify and say, actually, we know this person probably fits into the sale of oak chairs. And we could have said, actually, it relates to, I don't have any campaigns at the moment, a particular campaign. So you're getting some deeper, richer ways to report then. So later on, when you're looking to maybe look, we spend a lot of money on marketing. How did that work out for us? We'll be able to run some reports based on that campaign number, that segment number, and get that information. Okay, moving on down then. So at the moment, this opportunity, I've only just created it at the moment, and I've got no sales cycle information. And that's because we haven't activated it. So you'll notice on the menu here, activate first stage. So once I'm ready, I'll click activate. Would you like to activate? Yes. And straight away, we're into that initial stage. So what's going to happen in the background? The system already knows that Robert Towns, for instance, the salesperson behind this is myself, and it's going to assign those activities and tasks to me to complete for a later stage. But in the meantime, if I wanted to, I could create some initial interaction. Maybe someone else is phoned in from another company about this particular opportunity. Maybe someone else knows somebody in that organization. I don't. There's some other mechanism, some other interaction that's going on that you want to record, and we can do so. So with that in mind, we can look at picking from a template. So maybe I'm going to make an outgoing phone call. And again, related to that opportunity, a little bit more information we can look at here, and I'm not going to go into a great deal of detail on some of these, but you can see we can start to track a lot of information. So if it was relating to campaigns, does this interaction, does this opportunity work towards the target of that campaign? Yes, it probably would, and so on. So there's a lot going on. We can evaluate if we made the phone call, was it a positive call, and so on for reporting. Was it initiated by us or the other party at the time, and so on and so on. I'm just going to click OK here just to record that interaction. So you can see we can build up quite a lot of information with these. I'm going to close out of this opportunity now. And I'm going to close back, and I'm going to go back to my main menu screen now just to sort of, and I can do this a couple of ways, close all the windows, or I could click on the Cronus item there and it will take me straight back to this home page. So I'm now interested in looking across all opportunities in the business. And you'll see I get statistics over here, but actually what I'm getting now is a long list of all my opportunities. This is kind of the pipeline, if you like, and it could have been filtered by me as a salesperson, or maybe I'm a manager and I'm looking at all. So I am a manager in this case, and I'm looking at all the opportunities I've got in the system, and I can sort by different fields. So maybe I'm looking at when they were created. Probably more likely I'm interested in the estimated close date, and we'll see what should be closing sooner than later. So we're a bit behind on a few, as you can see, but it gives you some good information on these. You can drop these out into reports. I can drop these out into Excel, do a bit of further analysis. You can have these running in Power BI, lots of different ways to report, but I'm just going to go back to my opportunity now. And you'll notice by clicking on the opportunity, I don't have to go into it to do the next set of the process. So the next process for me would be creating a sales quote, creating a sales order, and so forth. So I could edit, open up the opportunity and do that, or I can just do it straight from here, create sales quote. So now we're in a sales quote for Robert. And this is more of an ERP function now, but we'll just follow through, and Robert's called in. We're working through the opportunity. We probably would have gone through the stages of that opportunity a little bit further before this point, but just to move things on, we're now going to look to get that chair for Robert. So Robert's interested in maybe 10 of those chairs. I'm just going to close this little portion down. And as I say, this is typical finance information, but also CRM as well. So sometimes, the salesperson, account manager might be doing this initial proposal quote part. So I'm going to assume I'm happy with that information. Yeah, that's the chair he wants. That's the price he's willing to pay. And we can, send Robert a copy of this quotation by email. So we'll do that. Now, just for my demo purposes, I'm just going to update it and send it to my demo account. So obviously that would have gone to Robert. Very long email address for demos. There we go. Perfect. So I'm happy with the content. It's using a template. You'll notice obviously we can have different templates, contents, custom message, or email body template to do with the quote. I'll click OK to that. And if by magic, what should happen now is Robert would be logged in, he would get an email. So hopefully this should all happen fairly quickly. There we go. There's the email. So if I click on the email, this would be the email Robert would have received. A little bit of, hello, Robert, thank you for your business. And actually the quote attached as well. So if I just open that and we put it under preview, not a bad looking quote layout. There's our quote. Perfect. So the next stage in this, I could, Robert would probably reply to that email, Yeah, I really am interested in this chair. Maybe we're going to negotiate on price, and we would update all that in the sales opportunity. But for the sake of time, I am going to assume that Robert said he's happy for this, and we can convert this into a sales order. And straight away, it's basically saying, oh, okay, you've got an open opportunity link to this quote. You know, the opportunity's got to be closed before we can convert. Do you want to close it now and continue this conversion? So I'm going to, cheat slightly, shortcut my sales process, and I say yes. So the opportunity gets updated as one. We have some sales information. This is great for reporting. Why did he decide? Maybe it was some strong pre-sales work. Maybe somebody showed him the chair and he thought this was great. Competent consultant, yeah, I'm sure that's the case. Or more likely, best price. Our quote's now being converted. Do we open it? And now we've got our sales order. So you can update, being that this is, as I say, a finance system where the chair's coming from, you're into much more distribution and warehousing functionality if you want to. But I'm trying to keep this fairly simple today, and we can decide to release this document and post it across to Invoice. So we're going to ship this and invoice it. And if I wanted to, I could look at the invoice. And again, we'll have the ability to send a copy of that invoice out to Robert by email. You could automate slightly, but this is a fairly manual way of doing it. We can click send and it will send it to him. Now we've got an invoice, we would be able to pay that invoice off, and that would effectively complete our, quote to cash process. So if anybody is interested beyond today, it's sort of diving a bit deeper into more of the financial sides. We will be running other webinars over the coming weeks and months on Business Central. But if you want to get in contact anyway, we can take you through some of that. Now, coming back to the requirement of the webinar today, I also wanted to look at beyond Business Central. So basically, if you're a business and you're growing, your sales team's growing, and you feel you need maybe a little bit more CRM functionality. And so often what happens here is there's a level of automation workflow process that needs to be built in, or maybe the marketing function is expanding and you want to be able to send automated emails, have click-through open rate reporting. So effectively, you're naturally growing into a bigger CRM requirement. Then you can start to use Dynamics 365 CRM with Business Central as well. So I'm just going to flick back to my homepage just to try and explain a little bit about this. So as I said, you've got all the functionality that you might need for, I wouldn't like to say basic sales process, but if you have a sales process and Business Central meets those needs, then you can report on pipeline, opportunities, activities. So I would have activities building up here in my list and so forth. So you've still got all that interaction, that information. But what can Business Central do with 365 CRM? So I just want to take us into a little bit of, bear with me. And just show you, if I can, the interactions we have between Dynamics 365 CRM. So when we set up a connection, what we've got a real-time web service running, native connection between my CRM system and my Business Central. And if I just show you the mappings, again, this is all effectively out of the box. I'm not having to buy anything extra other than get a subscription of CRM, the 365 CRM. But you can see we have a synchronization available to us for contacts, two ways. So if I set a contact up in CRM, 365 CRM, it will synchronize to Business Central and vice versa. If I set up customers, so accounts, an account in the CRM will move across and so on and so forth. Now, What this also means is when you start with the two systems, we have to create kind of what Business Central calls coupling, but effectively we create a link between the two systems. And this is a sort of process we help you with. It's not difficult, it's fairly straightforward. But if I just come out of here now and we take another look at our customer datum, you'll notice on the menu up here, the ribbon up here, we have these options: synchronize and set up coupling. So if I was doing this manually, I would be able to click on the setup coupling, and I can then basically pick a record from that CRM system to map. Now, typically this is only happening when you've got the two systems already running. If you're starting from new, and so that one of the systems is already in play but the other isn't, then it's a lot easier to sort of start this process, because I can just say create new, and the synchronization automatically in the background starts to create those records. So I just want to drop out of Business Central for a second, and I'm going to just come across now to what is Dynamics 365 CRM, just to finish this process off. So for anybody who hasn't seen Dynamics 365 CRM, we have a lot of functionality going on within the product now. Effectively, we have a full sales system, accounts, customers, contacts, opportunities and leads. And we've got things like portals, resource scheduling, field service, marketing, a lot of things going on now, service. So it is much more than just a basic CRM these days. What I'm interested in looking at, though, from a sales perspective, is going into my customers. And you'll notice straight away a datum is there. So I'd already coupled this previously. So I'm going to open up a datum. And I could be making some little changes here. So I also have the ability to open it up in Business Central. So we've got a link. So if I was a user and I needed to sort of open up the Business Central product, I don't have to go backwards and forwards. I can click on the ribbon buttons, click on this button, it will open this record in the corresponding system. Equally, if I start to make some changes, what can we do? Maybe we'll change the website, .co.uk. Make sure that's saved. That change during the synchronization. Now, the synchronization isn't running, well, I haven't got mine set up to run all the time. It runs on a sort of every few minutes. It's synchronizing. So I'm just going to flip back now to Business Central, open up a datum. Open up the contact card maybe, and eventually what we'd find is that bit of information will change. We will see a change in their website on these records. But the important bit, though, beyond having the contacts and the accounts, is I can start to create opportunities, and that information will feed across. So if I was in the CRM and I go to create opportunity, and straight away you'll notice here the slightly different looking feel of Dynamics 365 CRM over Business Central. We've now got our sales process very, very visible at the top. So this sales process: qualify, propose, contract, and close. And I could fulfill this information. Yeah, still interested in buying those chairs. And I would fill out all the information. Maybe we've just fill out budget. And yeah, we don't know what the purchase process is, and so on. I'll just save that. So what happens is, in the background, my sales opportunity from here will feed across. And when I'm back looking at my datum account, you'll notice on the, bear with me one moment, on the right-hand side of my account record, we have the 365 for sales statistics. And it will keep counting up. So the next time it does its synchronization, I'll do a little refresh and see if that comes into free. As I say, we're doing all this live, real time, but at some point I know it will happen. If I click on this just to show you what we've got in the background here, though, two opportunities already, buying further chairs, chest for BC. I can open these up in the CRM by clicking this button, and it will go back to the CRM. But hopefully, if we were back in our CRM and looking at our opportunity list, we would have those in our opportunity list as well. Now, the biggest difference here would be, although I have that opportunity information in Business Central, I don't have the ability to edit it. We're not, because, effectively our sales planning, our sales management is being done now in Dynamics 365 CRM. What we're getting though is visibility information. So you might find in some organizations, once you start using 365 CRM, a separation or segregation of the duties, in which case some users have access to Business Central, some users have access to CRM. You don't necessarily want them having to jump between applications, so the right information's in the right system at the right time. So that completes today for me the process we wanted to go through. So just to sort of go back, covering what we said we would look at, we were going to look at the customer cards, the contacts and the profiling, looking at the opportunities, the segmentation, interactions, quote order to invoice. Hopefully you can see actually just using Business Central for a CRM product has its place, has a lot of rich functionality, and would equally be a good fit in a small sales team or even a larger sales team. But as your processes grow and get more complex and need more needs, you can move into CRM. So that leads me on then to the Q&A session, and to sort of open it up to sort of see if we have any questions on 365 Business Central. So we've had one question come in. Is Dynamics 365 CRM a separate subscription? Yes, it would be. So you would, like any modules, you're paying for what you need. You'd have a subscription of Business Central, and you'd also take out a subscription of Dynamics CRM. They both sit in the cloud. They both sit on Azure servers. They both have the same connectability. One of the things we haven't looked at in a lot of detail today would be, what do you do if you need to move beyond the out-the-box connections, for instance? And that's where we would look to more towards Flow. Now, for anybody who doesn't know what Flow is another product from Microsoft that is used for integrations effectively. Now, when we're back on my homepage, you'll notice Flow is here. And the idea behind Flow is, how do we automate information that's not necessarily moving between the application, but moving between applications or updating other systems and so forth. It does an awful lot more. I'll just give you a little flavor of some of the things. So if I go to manage flows, you get today's weather forecast from my current location, get updates from the Flow blog, the very simple ones, but actually what we tend to find we use them for are approval processes, exporting documents or information from the system to put in an email in your inbox, creating documents to put into SharePoint, connecting more custom elements between the CRM system and Business Central. There's a lot of uses. It can be very simple. It can be very complex. And again, if anybody's interested, we do hope to be running some webinars on Flow later on this year. But if you're interested in knowing a little bit more now, please get in touch. So I'm just going to go back and see if we've had any more questions. Bear with me. Just struggling with the technology slightly here. When in the sales process would you go from CRM to Business Central? At the invoice, I guess that goes hand in hand where you want your sales personnel to sit in CRM or Business Central. Yeah, absolutely. So really what we're talking about here is if you're using the sales process within Business Central, then it would stay in Business Central. The idea being then you're using the opportunity pipeline within Business Central. You don't need Dynamics 365 CRM. You can manage that whole sales process. In our example, we had an initial phase, and if I just bring it up again, let me just show you. Our sales pipeline, our sales process here is all to do with Business Central. Each stage we're going through is Business Central. If you're using Dynamics CRM, then again, your sales process and sales stages would stay within CRM. The interaction would be at the touch points of documents, such as we create a sales proposal or quote, we create a sales order. Those documents are coming across to Business Central. Now, the whole reason I mentioned flow was if there was anything slightly different, if you're using both applications and there becomes a need for some automated process where you needed to move some information at a different stage, then that's where flow comes in. So really you can accommodate pretty much all or any scenario or business process that an organization might have between the two applications, as well as maybe just keeping it within Business Central at an initial stage. Okay, so we've had another question. How do we sync data? Well, I think I showed that earlier on with how the out-of-the-box synchronization works, and we work off the basic records of products, customers, contacts, and so forth, items, price lists. But beyond those integrations, this is where we start to look more maybe at flow as an example to move information backwards and forwards. Another question we've had, can we use both Dynamics 365 CRM opportunities and Business Central opportunities? Yes, you could. It may not be the way most businesses would go. But maybe you have a couple of different sales teams. Maybe you've got a new business external sales team, and maybe they would use Dynamics 365 CRM because they're primarily using Outlook. One of the advantages of Dynamics 365 CRM is activities, processes all come down into Outlook and has mobile. But a certain amount of that we can do with Business Central as well. But maybe, going on that premise, Business Central would be used for internal. Maybe, you've got account managers and you're using Business Central to manage those pipelines. There's no right or wrong. The way we look at it, we have our views, but we equally come in and we'll understand your organization, your business, and we'll help you work out what would be best for you based on, your current requirements and what your requirements might be in the future. So I think that covers, just double check we've got no more questions. Bear with me. No, I think that's everything. Brilliant. Okay, well, I hope you've enjoyed the presentation today and it made some sense. As I say, and I keep saying, if you need more information, please do get in touch. We will be sending out a short survey following this webinar. We do appreciate your feedback, good or bad. For additional information, please visit our web pages. We've got Business Central web page information, and we've got more information which can come from our contact us pages on Business Central packages. Thank you for your time. I look forward to perhaps speaking to you all offline at a later stage. Thank you. Bye-bye.